Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. With I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Better Off Dead. Monday, November 3rd. Thanks for everybody who hung out last night in for the college basketball opening day marathon preview, or college basketball season preview, whatever you want to call it. The Boston Food Tour episode last night. Yeah, we have college basketball. It already started. College basketball has been on since 8 a.m. here, and it's going to go until probably 1 a.m. tomorrow or whatever. It's the opening day marathon, man. I did not give out any actual plays. I wait for like situations to kind of reveal themselves, as I talked about last night. I gave out a few somewhat leans, but I don't have any plays today, so we're going to have a light day today. I'm going to talk about NHL, NBA, Monday Night Football here today. I'm going to have 1 play in NHL, 1 play in NBA. Don't love the board, really, but hopefully these plays are going to be winners. And then, yeah, in NFL, I still don't have a great gauge on the NFL game, to be honest. It's not going to be one that I'm going to give out a play on. College basketball, by the way, it is free on YouTube. These opening day games that are listed as airing on YouTube, they actually are. Like, I'm not going to bring it up because it'll be like, you can't share somebody else's stream. But if you see here, Field of 68 After Dark, they're actually, they're airing it. So you can watch that Winthrop Queens game right now. I think it's actually tied. I was trying to bring it up on my TV here, but there's something going on with the YouTube app on my TV here. I have it on my TV downstairs right now, though. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not broadcasting from a basement, and I'm not broadcasting from my parents' house here. Although maybe soon, after I have to sell my house, who knows? But yeah, Jeffrey, thanks for hanging out, man. I don't know if I shouted you out yet. I'm so out of it right now. Anna, what's up? Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for saying that. We all love each other here. Jesus loves us all as well. But yeah, that Winthrop Queens game that's on right now, last I saw it was tied. It's been kind of a back and forth game. It's actually a good game to open the slate. So if I can get this done in the next like half hour, maybe I can actually no, because the game's probably about to end like almost right now. So I don't know. I wish I had it on right now, but it might go into overtime. Who knows? I have not heard from Saab. I don't think I've seen him since the World Series, man. I hope he's all right. I hope he hedged some of it back, because with the number that he got on the Blue Jays, he could have guaranteed a profit by betting some amount on the Dodgers there. Especially what he probably should have done is, because he already had the Blue Jays as a huge underdog, right? Once the Blue Jays were up 3-2, he should have bet the series price on the Dodgers, hedged some of it back that way, because the Dodgers were like plus 210 or something like that. So he would have had both of them as an underdog. That you can't get any better than that. That's like guaranteed. That is obviously guaranteed profit. I hope he's all right. Let's get into it today, man. So if you want to see my college basketball stuff, I talked about the games that are happening tonight. Oh, I talked about like any of the games that had any like that were noteworthy at all. You could go watch that show, though it's probably buried in there. But basically, I did say I had a slight lean to Arizona plus the points against Florida here tonight. That's the biggest game. That's the only game between two ranked teams. And then I also leaned to Villanova against BYU just because I think Villanova is just an ugly, slow down team, and that's kind of what you want with a team that's an underdog against what I think is just an overrated BYU team that plays too fast. Thank you, sir. NFL. I think I'm only 500 in my pick'em league this week though, but I did okay. I think I went 3-2 in the pick 5 that I'm in, so I'm actually in the money right now in the pick 5, like barely in the money. I need to do better though, but. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that right now. Yesterday was a winning day on the show, but it was very slight or a little bit better than that, depending on how you want to score the hockey play that I gave out. It was either a 3-2-1 day or 3-3 with a slight win because it started off awesome, dude. Carolina won outright. Green Bay just did nothing offensively. They looked horrendous in those old like leatherhead uniforms. They looked so bad. And then Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, he showed up, man. We got the outright win with Minnesota. They really showed up. Wanted to win the game. They did. Meanwhile, I lost in fantasy, by the way, because Jonathan Taylor and Patrick Mahomes basically both no-showed. And they were both the number one fantasy player at their respective positions. They both fucking no-show, and then I lose in fantasy for the first time since week 1 in my main league. But anyway, the bets, yeah, it was looking awesome because Carolina and Minnesota both won outright. So I always recommend putting a little bit on the money line. With Carolina, basically I would have said like put 1% of it on the money line. Minnesota, I would have said put about 3%. 10% actually, because Minnesota was a single-digit underdog. So that would have been a nice money line cash on Minnesota there. So that would have put you up. New Orleans didn't get there for us. I'm surprised the Rams were able to score as much as they did. New Orleans they were within 10 in the second half, but they couldn't get it done. Their offense couldn't get anything done, unfortunately. And then NBA, I was wrong about Brooklyn. I mean, I don't know. If you look at how that game played out, I mean, Brooklyn had a pretty horrendous shooting game. What can you do? I did not get that right. You can give me props, though, for being correct about saying that Phoenix was going to win outright against San Antonio, though. I told you, man. I told you that was going to be the case. I believe I was right about Oklahoma City covering as well, right? Like they won by margin as well. Like they're good at home, man. What can I say? And then I was correct about the Knicks, most importantly. So we went 1-1 in the NBA yesterday, which I want to be better than that. But NBA has been pretty good so far. I think I'm 12-6, maybe 13-6, whatever. I think 12-6, whatever it is. I'll have to go back and look. But yeah, the Knicks got there for us. That was a nice win and cover by them. And then we had the Detroit Red Wings. It depended on how you played it. If you played it on the 60-minute line, so them to win in regulation, that was a loss because it was tied. I mean, Detroit should have won that game more easily. If you look at the statistics, Detroit, they kind of dominated the game, dude. They had way more shots. They were never trailing in the game. They had way more shots. They won 63% of the faceoffs, and they still had to go into overtime, and they got the win in overtime. So if you did like the split bet, you would have pushed on it, which is the other recommendation that I had if you wanted to do that instead of the regulation bet. The split bet being a little bit more risk averse. They won by exactly 1, so you would have pushed it. I saw somebody last night told me they just played it on the money line on Detroit, so that was a winner. Little bit of a hefty price on it, but again, I think the game played out like it didn't play out the way that the statistics said that it should have. Like Detroit was winning multiple times in the game. They were up 1-0 and they were up 2-1, and then they had to go into overtime to win it 3-2. So unfortunate there. We can move on to today. I'm going to have again 2 plays today. It's going to be a little it's going to be a small card today, but that's usually the case on Monday. I know college basketball, it's very tempting to want to throw some money on this huge college basketball board, but I typically don't have any plays on the first day. I wait, for the situations to start lining up. If you want to do college basketball today, my recommendation was to look for like smaller conference teams that have a lot of returning starters up against these big conference teams, because you're going to get them as an underdog, and you want to look to go against big conference teams that have a ton of turnover because they're like not going to like mesh right away. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the way to look at early college basketball. But there's just too many games for me to just dive into all the personnel like that. So I just wait for like situations to start lining up. You went against me with the Bengals. Yeah, I mean, I would not have gone against myself with that. I picked the Bears in my pick'ems. The Bears should not have blown that game, though. Like, the Bears were winning that game by, 14 with, like, a few minutes left, and then it took, like, a miracle for them to actually wind up winning the game, but they never should have fallen behind in the game to begin with. I don't know. The Bears outplayed them. Yeah. Green Bay against the Eagles. Yeah, I think I probably do. I'll have to see what the situation looks like for that. I think the Eagles are on bye this week. So, yeah, I probably agree with you on that. Green Bay is going to be coming off looking as ugly as possible. It was a bad spot for Green Bay. I think they were looking ahead. Green Bay has a huge revenge angle because the Eagles knocked them out of the playoffs last year. And the Eagles, I believe they just had a bye, and they went into the bye with a divisional revenge win over the Giants. So, yeah, I'm probably going to agree with you on that one. The Eagles just picked up another defensive player through trade, though. The Eagles are trying to win this year again, man. They lost a lot of their defensive players from last year, and now they're making all these trades. They just traded for, what's his name, Jalen Phillips. I think he's a defensive lineman from Miami. He's one of their better defensive players. That Miami defense stinks. He doesn't stink, and now the Eagles just got him because Miami's probably, I assume, just unloading some guys for draft picks. So, yeah. Yeah, the Knicks, it was a pretty easy win. Yeah, I like when that happens. Bulls against the Sixers, no, I don't think I do. Bulls in a situation where they just took their first loss. I don't like to take teams after they have that first loss. They can essentially lose that game twice in a row, basically, because they're not used to losing yet. It can kind of hang them over. I don't think there's any way I'm going to be on the Bulls. The Green Bay, there's a decent likelihood Green Bay will be a play for me, though, in NFL next week. Pinsy, what's up, man? All right, let's talk about NHL here. We have 4 games. I guess I could just briefly hit them, although Pittsburgh, Toronto, I don't have much of an opinion on. Toronto's down from -177 moneyline favorite to -168. They're public, 76% of tickets, only 72% of the cash. So the money looks like it is coming in on the Pittsburgh side because there's some reverse line movement that we see there. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I would want to do that. Pittsburgh, they're finishing a road trip. I mean, yeah, you could argue they're going to show up motivated here because it is Toronto. I mean, they're always kind of a big opponent to have to face because they're an original 6 team. It's an Eastern Conference game. Pittsburgh is trying to split 2-2 on their road trip because they're 1-2 right now. So there are some motivating factors. They're going to have Jari back at net for them because they used Silovs yesterday. Again, I don't love either of their goalies. They just alternate between them. They're coming off a loss to Winnipeg that was a bit ugly, but one day off traveling from Winnipeg to Toronto doesn't seem really that easy to me. Meanwhile, Toronto, somewhat of an easier travel spot, I would say, even though they're technically returning home from a road trip. They only went to Columbus and Philadelphia. It was a quick road trip, so I don't really see that as a real road trip return spot. They did beat Philadelphia pretty handily in their last game, though, so if you kind of like gauge it based on that, Toronto looked a little bit too good in their last game. I did like Toronto in that game, as I pointed out on Saturday. And you got, Pittsburgh coming off a game where they didn't look very good against Winnipeg. So based on that, yeah, maybe it makes sense to go with the team that looked ugly in their last game, which is Pittsburgh. But I wouldn't want to get involved in it. I don't really see much of an angle here. I don't really consider that to be a real road trip return spot for Toronto. So I'm leaving that game alone. The market read says Pittsburgh is an underdog. Again, I'm just giving you all the information. Vancouver and Nashville, we actually have a very public road underdog here in Vancouver. Nashville has dropped a little bit from -120 to -116, but we have 85% of the cash on Vancouver and only 81% of the tickets. Vancouver's kind of a mediocre team right now, and Nashville is mediocre, I would say, as well. Nashville was so bad last year that I think the public is they're just not willing to play Nashville in like any capacity, really. So they're seeing Vancouver as an underdog. They like the name Vancouver. I think Vancouver either made the playoffs or they were close to making the playoffs last year. So public kind of banking on that as well, thinking there's value taking Vancouver as an underdog. Based on the market, I would obviously fade that because, public underdogs, they tend to be something that you really want to fade. Although the Buffalo Bills were correct yesterday as a public underdog. Interestingly enough, and there was some kind of late line movement on the Chiefs there too. So I had a slight lean to the Bills in that one, but it was going against the market pretty heavily there. So I don't know, man. And then, I don't know what else to say about Vancouver and Nashville. Well, I got to look at the situation, I guess. Vancouver just lost pretty ugly, 5-2 to Minnesota on Saturday. Finishing a road trip, they're 1-1 on the road trip. So usually when that's the case, a team will show up motivated in a spot like that, typically. They don't really have anything up next. I think they have Chicago up next. That's not really a huge game. Nashville is coming off a win over Calgary, which I think is going to give them some momentum because they broke a 3-game loss streak, and beating Calgary is not really going to make you overconfident. So the spot isn't negative for either team, in my opinion. I'll lean with the market in that one. I would play Nashville if I was going to play it, but I'm not going to do it. When everybody likes a team, then that usually is a red flag. But it was like from what I could see, like a lot of professionals like the Bills and the public was on the Bills. In a spot like that, there's no way I want to put my money on that. Like nothing is ever that easy. I don't know what else to say about that. The Bills have been good against the Chiefs in the regular season, though, and it was a playoff revenge spot, like I pointed out. So I thought that was kind of the factor that tipped the scales towards the Bills. But when you see the public on a home underdog like that is very, very rare, and almost always you do not want to be on that side. So there was no way that I was going to make that a play. Absolutely not. But I had a slight lean that way just because that's where the situation put me. But, I really, really hated it because the market read was strongly against it. Like, less of the cash was actually on the Bills, and there was a late reverse line move on the Chiefs, which is actually a pretty strong indicator. So, I wanted to switch my pick, pretty badly in that one to the Chiefs. All right, and then my play is going to be in the Edmonton-St. Louis game. We do have a late game between Chicago and Seattle as well. Chicago, 5-4-3. They're coming off an overtime loss at Edmonton on Saturday. That was a big game for them, man. They were able to take Edmonton into overtime. I think that might hang Chicago over a little bit here, so I don't love Chicago coming off that big game in this spot. You almost beat Edmonton. You fall short. Don't love that. Seattle, they were a loser for me as well, taking the Rangers into OT, and the Rangers really dominated that game, though, so really it was a bad read on my part with Seattle there, although they almost got the win as an underdog. I don't really want to actually give out Seattle as a play here, but I do think the spot is worse for Chicago. Seattle is staying at home, although they're coming off 2 straight overtime games as well, including that one against the Rangers where they came close to winning as an underdog on Saturday. Chicago's a public underdog, believe it or not, because they're above 500 right now. 76% of the tickets 76% of tickets and 91% of the cash. I'm so out of it, but I don't know if that cash percentage is legit because you see Seattle has moved up from -149 to -151. So the odds makers are telling you Seattle's the better team because they're getting more than home ice built into this line here. And I do think that the spot is worse for Chicago, so I would play Seattle in that game if I was going to play it. Money line or, do a make-your-own-one puck line there because I think the price, if you want to go regulation, you could do that, but you're going to get a nice underdog price on that one if you do that because they're not really at that level of a favorite where I would start looking to play it in regulation. I would probably either money line it on Seattle or do a split bet to make it make your own -1 puck line. Let's get into the best bet segment already here. Even though I'm going to talk about NBA, and there are more NBA games today. The one bet that I have in NHL, you could probably guess. We're going to go with the St. Louis Blues on the money line here. I think we're actually getting a nice price here with a Blues team that I don't think is as bad as the record makes them look right now. Public is on Edmonton. I mean, St. Louis has a really bad record right now. But remember, the St. Louis team was a playoff team last year, and they're not much different this year. I mean, maybe they got a spark having a new coach there. overperformed a little bit, getting the Bruins coach over there after he got fired, Montgomery. But I still think this St. Louis team is under the radar right now just because they've had a bad start. Edmonton, of course, the public's just going to line up on Edmonton because of what they've done the last couple of years, because of their offense, because they have Connor McDavid. 89% of the tickets, only 66% of the cash on Edmonton. So Edmonton very public, but with less of the cash on them. And we see a reverse line movement, dropping them from minus 150 to minus 138. So the market indicators look pretty good for taking St. Louis as a home underdog here, with the line actually moving against the public. So that is what reverse line movement is. If I have not explained that thoroughly, I don't know. That's a good indicator that's where like the bigger money is. If you see the line move against where the ticket percentage is, and then that also lines up with the cash percentage not being as heavy on Edmonton. Edmonton is coming off that overtime game where they did escape against Chicago. So sometimes I would say, well, that means, that you're going to get focus out of that team. But I actually don't think so here, because they're going out on the road. Yes, they're starting a road trip, and sometimes you will look for a team to be focused to start a road trip because they want to kick the road trip off on the right foot. But they're coming off 2 straight overtime games, 3 overtimes in their last 4 games, going back to last Sunday, or going back to Sunday the 26th. Yeah, but this road trip is only 2 games, and it's tonight and tomorrow night. And tomorrow night they have Dallas, and then after that they got Colorado. So Dallas is going to be a big game, man. And I think Dallas actually is going to have revenge against Edmonton in that game as well. So it's going to be a big game for both teams. Dallas is going to have, I believe Dallas will have a revenge angle there, because I think that's the Western Conference Final, I believe, was Dallas against Edmonton last year. I'll have to make sure of that. I think that was right. So I think Edmonton might overlook St. Louis in this one, man. And they're probably going to go with Pickard in net. And things have not gone well with Pickard in net. The last 3 times he's been in net, they had a 5-3 loss, a 6-5 win, and a 4-3 overtime loss. So they've been giving up some goals with him in net, so that doesn't look good. Skinner has played 3 games in a row, and you got to assume they're going to leave Skinner. They're going to rest him and play him tomorrow. So they're most likely going to have Pickard, so they'll have their lesser goalie. Meanwhile, I like how the spot sets up for St. Louis. You're going to be looking at, I think, a St. Louis team that's going to be really trying to get a win here, man. I mean, they've lost 6 games in a row, 7 games in a row. Is that what that is? 7 games in a row with a couple of overtime losses in the mix there. Losing to Columbus on Saturday in just a weird single-game road trip over to Columbus. Now they're coming back home here. I don't consider that to be a true road trip return because it was literally just 1 game on the road. They're coming back home. They just have this 1 game at home. Then they do have to go back out on the road. But they're going to show up for a game against Edmonton at home. Almost guaranteed. They're going to try to break this loss streak here, and they will have Binnington back in net here almost certainly, because Hofer played in their last game, so we're going to get their better goalie here in Binnington. I know things have not gone well regardless of which goalie has been in net for them, but he is still their better goalie. I like St. Louis in this spot. I think they're going to break their loss streak here. Me being the streak breaker, let's do it again, man. I was right. I didn't give it out as a play, but I was right about breaking the San Antonio undefeated streak last night with Phoenix, and I thought they might be looking ahead to the Lakers. I'm going to go here. I'm going to say that St. Louis is going to break their streak here, and they're going to beat Edmonton. And I don't believe it's playoff revenge because I believe St. Louis lost to Winnipeg, so it's not playoff revenge. But even so, doesn't matter to me. I mean, I still think it's a spot where you're going to get a focused St. Louis team here for sure. So give me St. Louis on the money line. I think they're undervalued right now. And let's go to NBA. Brooklyn is playing again today, so they're on a back-to-back against Minnesota, and the money's coming in on Brooklyn again. Minnesota's a 9-point favorite, 57% of the tickets on them, 81% of the cash, though, on Brooklyn. So the money is indicating on Brooklyn. I mean, I guess I'll tentatively maybe still agree with that, but man, I mean, the only thing I can really say is that Minnesota, they might be looking ahead to the Knicks on Wednesday. I mean, that's all I could really say about that. Brooklyn is still in a back-to-back and a bad team, so I really don't want to deal with Brooklyn here. Although they had a bunch of days off prior to yesterday, so it's not like they're really in like a really bad fatigue spot or anything like that, because before yesterday, they hadn't played since Wednesday. And they're still looking for their first win, so they're probably going to show up with some effort, but not a game I'm going to get involved in at all, obviously. Milwaukee at Indiana. This is going to be a situation where it is playoff revenge for Milwaukee. As I pointed out, I thought Milwaukee was going to be looking ahead to this game when I was correct about them losing to the Kings, or at least not covering, but they did lose outright on Saturday. That was our NBA winner on Saturday. Giannis did play in the game, so he was a game-time decision. He is a game-time decision again tonight. I'm expecting that he will play. I mean, it seems like he's just always listed as a game-time decision right now. But I think the reason why Milwaukee dropped that game is because they were coming off a couple of big wins in a row, man, as I had pointed out, against the Knicks and Golden State. And they had taken Cleveland almost to the wire the game prior to that, too, like made a comeback against Cleveland. I thought that was a down spot, a flat spot against Sacramento, and this game matters more to them against Indiana, even though Indiana's off to a terrible start this year and they're a very injured team. Milwaukee's going to have this game circled just because Indiana eliminated them from the playoffs. I believe 2 years in a row now, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely last year. So, yeah, I think Milwaukee's going to show up for this one, man. I believe it is back-to-back playoff revenge here for Milwaukee, so that's certainly something to consider. I think that is actually a factor here. As far as Indiana is concerned, they're coming off beating Golden State, which was their first win of the season, and sometimes when a team gets their first win, yeah, they get that monkey off their back and they can kind of just relax and play looser, but in this case, it could be a little bit of a letdown spot, honestly, because that was a big win over Golden State. It was kind of strange because I didn't think that it was really necessarily a bad spot for Golden State there, but Indiana was able to get the job done in that one. Digging into the box score here, Golden State, I mean, they did shoot pretty poorly in the game, although both teams actually had pretty poor shooting performances in the game, so it's not really necessarily a huge outlier as far as that's concerned, but Golden State was very bad from three-point range still in the game, worse than Indiana was. So, some reasons why Golden State did drop that game. I think if you get a focused Milwaukee team, they're the better team, and I think they should get the job done. I'm going to lean to Milwaukee in this one, but the money is completely disagreeing with me on that. Milwaukee is a 6-point road favorite, and that's because, of course, the Pacers have many, many injuries. Halliburton, Nembhard, who else are they missing? I forget. Toppin, I think, might still be out, and I forget, man. They have so many guys who are out right now. It's hard to even keep track. Let me see. As I go to the wrong tab here. But, yeah, I mean, obviously the injuries are the reason why the line is the way that it is. Mathurin is also out for the Pacers. But, yeah, it's a playoff revenge spot, so that's the determining factor for me. But 62% of the tickets are on Milwaukee, 81% of the cash on the Pacers, so I don't love it totally. Slight lean to Milwaukee for me in that one, though. Former Pacer is on Milwaukee. On Miles Turner, that's true. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how that, factors in, right? Because, is Turner going to really be, angry and, come out playing really hard against Indiana when, they had a really good run with him last year? And, I don't know, did they trade him away or was his contract up? Or, I'm not even really sure. It's a little bit of an interesting angle, I guess, but I don't know if it really factors into the motivation one way or the other necessarily. I mean, I guess you could argue it helps Milwaukee a little bit more just because he's going to want to play well against his former team. I mean, Indiana will know how to defend against him too, but yeah, I mean, I just don't think it's a huge factor in the game really, but it's an interesting storyline. McConnell might still be out. I don't even think he's listed on the... Was he listed on the injury report? I don't think I saw him. How long has he been out? I don't even know. I don't see him listed on the injury report here for Indiana. So I have no idea. I can look at their depth and see where he's at. Is he not? He's not even on here right now, so I guess he is out. It looks like he's not even here. So, yeah, good call on that, I guess. Yeah, he's not even playing. So... A lot of injuries, man. But they picked up Mac McClung, man, so they can have a dunk specialist on their team. All right, Utah Jazz at my Boston Celtics, and the Celtics are a double-digit favorite in this one. Jazz still being lined like one of the worst teams in the NBA. I don't think they're the absolute worst, though. Celtics still getting a lot of respect in the market. Celtics probably not quite as bad as their record looks. I think the Celtics are probably like a they're probably going to make the playoffs, would be my guess, the Celtics, because so many teams make the playoffs. I think you'll probably see them get one of the bottom few seeds in the playoffs, would be my guess. Celtics are up from 8.5 to 10.5 here. They're public, 76% of the tickets, 62% of the cash coming in on Utah. Utah has lost 3 games in a row now. You got to expect they're going to show up with some focus here, trying to get a win on the road trip, just trying to get a win. But they're in kind of a difficult rest spot here, or lack of rest, because they're on a back-to-back, traveling from playing in Charlotte yesterday. Yes, they got blown out. They were in Phoenix on Friday. They got blown out there too. They were at home on Wednesday. So they're actually playing a 4th game in 6 days, I think is what that is. Is that right? 3 games in 4 days and a back-to-back, all of them in different cities. So that's not a good travel spot for Utah. So I would not want to have my money on Utah in a spot like that. Celtics could potentially be in a bounce-back spot, just because they were in a really bad rest spot themselves, because they were just zigzagging all over the place, traveling all over the place, came back home, and I think the fatigue just really got to them, and they got blown out by Houston. The Celtics, I don't even know if they played all their starters. I guess they did, but they took them out actually pretty quickly. So the Celtics are actually going to be more rested here. As you can see, the Celtics only played Jaylen Brown for 22 minutes in that game. Derek White only played 19. So the Celtics' best players are pretty rested coming into this one. So that's at least a decent sign for the Celtics. So I don't even know if I actually agree with the market in this one. I think that initial move up on the Celtics, it actually might make more sense to lean towards laying the points with the Celtics in this game. And you also see the Celtics, I think, are 3-4, and Utah's 2-4. So it looks like the teams aren't that much different, but the Celtics are a huge favorite. So the odds makers are still telling you they're the significantly better team. So I would actually lean slightly to the Celtics in that one, and hopefully they win, because I like the Celtics. Washington at the Knicks, and you could argue the Knicks are in a letdown spot, and we know they're in a back-to-back here. They just beat Chicago in quick revenge, and beating an undefeated team could make you a little bit overconfident. They're probably not going to take Washington totally seriously here. They do have Minnesota up next, which is a bigger game on ESPN on Wednesday. So I could see the Knicks being in somewhat of a sandwich here. Washington got blown out by Orlando on Saturday, and they're going out on the road again. So sometimes that's good when you just get annihilated at home. Just forget about it. Just go on the road. Refocus on the game. So I would slightly lean to taking the points with the Wizards against the Knicks here. The Knicks are very public. They're up from an 11.5-point favorite to a 12.5-point favorite. 91% of tickets, 99% of the cash. Probably not accurate. If you do want to fade the Knicks, I think they're in a somewhat negative spot, and you're probably going to be fading the public, at least, when you do that. Dallas at Houston, we have a big Texas matchup here, and Houston is a huge favorite at 12.5, so the odds makers are really disrespecting Dallas here. But Dallas also has injuries. Anthony Davis, I believe, is still out. Kyrie, of course, is not coming back until next year, probably. Not next season, but I mean, he's slated to come back in January, maybe. So the Mavs still don't really have a point guard. I believe one of the other big men, I think Lively, is still out for the Mavs as well. So the Mavs are definitely thin on the interior, and that is not a good thing when you're playing the tallest team in the NBA, which is the Houston Rockets. The Rockets have so much size, and the Mavs being down 2 of their big men, that is not a good thing. Houston's up from 12 to 12.5 here. 80% of the tickets, 99% of the cash. I probably don't buy that, but it looks very, very strange, I think, to see the Rockets being that much of a favorite, even though the Mavs are not off to a great start at 2-4, but Houston's only 3-2, and I think Houston's better than that 3-2 record looks. Dallas is coming back from playing in Mexico City as well, so I don't really love that as a travel spot either. That was a highlight game. Yeah, they didn't look good. Sometimes when a team doesn't look good in a big, in a highly publicized game like that, sometimes that team won't draw as much of the public action, and they will actually bounce back from it, but I just don't love the travel spot, man. I think this is a situation where both teams are going to show up for this. The only negative for Houston is that they're returning home from a road trip, although it was a quick road trip. They did go to Toronto and Boston, so geographically it was not really that quick, but they've only been gone since Wednesday, so they haven't been away from home, for that long, so it's not like I don't think they're going to be in a spot where it's like, oh, we have to get home, like get a lot of this shit done. But this is their only home game on the homestand, and they do go right back out on the road. But to me, I mean, it is the Dallas Mavericks. Like, I just don't think you're going to overlook Dallas. And Dallas, for so long, has been the better of the two teams in Texas. And now Houston has kind of become that team. So, yes, I think both, like, Dallas is going to be motivated, but I think both teams are going to be motivated here. Man, I just don't know if I can get over, like, the problems that I think Dallas is going to have on the interior in this one. And the return from Mexico City. I don't love it, man. I really don't. You lead to Dallas. I somewhat I don't know. I'm going to somewhat disagree with it. I'm going to agree with the market in this one slightly. Probably I would lay it with Houston, but I don't love it at all. Unders, yeah, the money looks like it has come in that way. The total already dropped 4.5 points, though. So you've lost some value on the under already at this point. It's a pretty low total, too. For an NBA game. It's the lowest on the board. It's down from 229 to now 224.5. Money looks like it might somewhat be coming back in on the over, though. 85% of the tickets, 98% of the cash coming in on the over. I don't do totals, really, again, so I don't really have that great of a read on it other than looking at the market, but I think I would kind of worry about how the defense is going to hold up with the Mavs traveling back from Mexico City and the Rockets returning from the Northeast. It kind of seems like it would be somewhat like of a fatigue spot, which I think does impact the defense. So I don't know. But the Mavs seem like they're kind of under type of team right now because their offense is just really struggling right now. Detroit at Memphis. Detroit is also returning home from Mexico City, and they got the win in Mexico City, beating Dallas. Now they're having to go to Memphis. So this spot, I mean, could be a bit of a letdown spot, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to fully focus on Memphis. Memphis, of course, has this Ja Morant situation going on, so that's going to throw a wrench into things. Memphis is coming back from playing in Toronto yesterday. It's just very, very strange spots in this game. Memphis had played at home against LA the game before that, and I actually liked Memphis in that game. Now they went up to Toronto, lost that game. Weird travel spot because they're on a back-to-back here with travel back from Toronto to Memphis. So I don't like the travel spot that either team is in. I don't love it at all. Memphis, I am assuming Morant, not Durant, Morant. Not Kevin Morant, no. Ja Durant, no. Ja Morant, I believe, is coming back because I think he was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team, probably, I don't know, shooting at somebody would be my guess, something along those lines. I don't know. Actually, I think he shot his mouth off. I think he angered the coach or something. I don't know what he did. Morant, he's not a good guy for team chemistry, man. Maybe he's not a good guy. Maybe I should just leave it at that. I think he is going to be back for this game, but that makes me dislike Memphis a little bit more. But I think if he's going to be back, he's a game time decision. I think he's probably going to play because his suspension was only for one game. I don't know, man. I mean, it looks iffy to want to play Memphis here, man. So even though I know Detroit could be in a letdown spot, the money's coming in on Detroit, and I don't really disagree with it because the only negative is that they're coming back from Mexico City, but the Grizzlies on a back-to-back with Morant potentially coming back, which could just like jar their chemistry again. I mean, you can't keep having your star player coming in and out of the lineup like this, man. It's just ridiculous. 64% of the tickets, 94% of the cash on Detroit. They're up from 3 to 4.5. So the money's saying Detroit. I won't disagree with it. Totals at 238, down to 236, actually. 57% of tickets on the over, 60% of the cash on the under. Money coming in on the under. I mean, if Morant is coming back, I think you got to think that means the Grizzlies are probably going to score more points if Morant is in the lineup. So the line having dropped a little bit is somewhat interesting. Maybe he'll be held out of the lineup, man. I don't know. A lot of things to consider in this game. A lot of moving parts. Not a situation that lines up very cleanly for my purposes. So I don't want to do anything with that shit. I know. The Pelicans, they lost by 20. I recommend against NBA teasers for a reason, man, because the games are just so high scoring that you get like no value on the number. Like each point in the NBA is worth so much less. Like the only teasers that actually have value are NFL going through the key numbers of 7-3. The Stanford Wong teasers are really the only ones, and that's also because the NFL is a low-scoring league. So even though it's gotten higher scoring in recent years, but you get games where the totals are like in the 40s for the most part in the NFL. NBA, they're in like the 230s. So there's a huge difference in what those points mean. And then, all right, Sacramento and Denver is actually going to be my game. That's going to be the one game I have a play in. LA at Portland is actually an interesting one. Did I skip any games? I don't think I did. I'm going to just hit every game real quick. Because, we don't have too much going on today. LA, they're on a nice run here, having beaten Minnesota, Memphis, Miami. The last two games, they had Luka back, so they're back in swing with Luka back. 3 big wins in a row, though, so I first looked at this, and I'm like, well, they're kind of in a letdown spot here, having to go to Portland off another big win over Miami last night for LA. I think LA actually shot really well in the game, too, so maybe a little bit of an outlier there. They shot well. Actually, both teams shot pretty well from the field, so it was kind of an outlier on both sides. And they actually didn't shoot particularly well from three-point range. Kind of an outlier with Miami shooting really, really terribly from 3 in the game. So my first instinct is, well, Lakers are in a letdown spot. Lakers have to travel again here. They're actually on a back-to-back. They're actually playing a 3rd game in 4 days and a 4th game in 6 days, all in different cities. And they're actually playing a 5th game in 8 days and I think that's a 6th game in 9 days, and they've traveled all over the place. Sacramento, back home to LA, Minnesota, at Memphis, back home against Miami, now up to Portland. The travel spot is just really, really crammed for the Lakers right now. I talked about it was a similar spot with the Celtics when they played Houston, and the Celtics, that game just got away from them, and the Celtics just rested their starters. I'm not going to say that's going to happen with LA here, but it is a very, very difficult rest spot for LA, as you can see here. That's a huge negative for LA. The problem that I have with it is I can't play Portland in this game either. Portland's at 4-2 right now. I don't think they're as good as their record looks. Portland just returned home, and they pulled off an upset of the Denver Nuggets at home. Huge win for Portland. Portland is way more rested, though, because they haven't played since Friday. So Portland does have a huge rest advantage, but will they be in like a letdown spot because they just beat Denver? I don't know. This is the Lakers, so you're still going to get up for a game against the Lakers, I would presume. Although they do have Oklahoma City next, too, so they actually have 3 huge games in a row. Really, with a team like Portland, after they beat Denver like that, either they're going to be in a letdown spot if they're playing a lesser team, or you have to worry about, will they be really tired? But they might not be now because, again, they haven't played since Friday, so they had the entire weekend off. So they actually might get over that fatigue from beating Denver. They get to face LA here, and the only other thing I could say about LA, really the only positive for LA here is that it's a quick revenge spot for LA, because of course Portland went to LA and beat them and blew them out, and that was a game where I gave up Portland on the show. LA was without Luka in that game. Of course, LA is still without LeBron. That kind of goes without saying at this point, but Luka is of course back. LA with a very white lineup at this point with Luka, Reeves, and whatever that other guy's name is. I forget his name. Did huge things off the bench the other night. But yeah, LA, the reason why they will actually want to try to show up with focus, at least in this game, is because they know they lost at home pretty embarrassingly to Portland. A winner for us on the show, but it is a little bit of a revenge spot for LA here. One of those quick road revenge angles. So the road revenge angle would have me looking towards the Lakers, but the travel spot is just disgustingly bad for the Lakers, and that's the reason why Portland is a favorite here. They flipped from a 1.5-point dog to a 3-point favorite here. 64% of tickets, only 61% of the cash on the Lakers. So the public's coming in on the Lakers. The public just doesn't even look at these travel situations, really. So the public likes the Lakers. They're a public road underdog here. I'll slightly lean with the market to the Blazers again here just because I hate the travel spot, and I think that that more than negates the road revenge angle, in my opinion. But we'll see, man. Interesting to note that the Blazers were a 2.5-point favorite at LA when they beat LA in that other game, but that was LA without Luka. So Luka is worth some amount of points here. The Blazers would have been an underdog in this game, though, were it not for the rest scenario here. And now I think because, well, I don't know, actually. I don't know when the line was that, but I think because of the rest scenario, Blazers are 3-point favorites. The line is a little bit high line value-wise. Like, it looks like there is actually some line value on the Lakers, although that's what the public thinks too. But, again, the reason for the line being where it is right now is because the odds makers are reflecting this horrible rest spot for the Lakers in that line. So, but it could be a game where the game just gets away from the Lakers because of that rest scenario. Bulls have a white guy. Which white guy do they have now? They lost Caruso, right, to Oklahoma City. I don't even know who the Bulls have now. Embiid did the Degeneration X chop, and they fined him $50,000. Yeah, I mean, Embiid, he just can't control himself. I don't really think that that's worthy of a fine. Like, I don't even know exactly what that is, but I mean, there are definitely some things that are way more worthy of fines than that. Some of which don't even get fined. Embiid, I don't like him though. I mean, he's just generally a total head case. And then to finish the slate off here, we have Miami at the Clippers. Miami is, of course, coming off that game against the Lakers where they did not do particularly well. Miami lost by double digits to the Lakers. They got LA here. They got the Clippers here, on a back-to-back. But, of course, the back-to-back is a little bit less bad because they're not having to travel, at least, because they're staying in LA. But they did still play a game yesterday, so that's a little bit of a concern. They got Denver up next. Will they overlook the Clippers here? I don't know, because they've lost 2 games in a row. So you might see Miami actually still show up for this game. The Clippers, once they moved into that new stadium, they were pretty good at home, and they actually have been good at home again this year. The Clippers are actually 3-0 at home, although they haven't covered every game at home. They're 0-2 on the road and 3-0 at home here. So the Clippers are better at home. Clippers are way more rested, and they're coming off a game where they didn't do well against New Orleans at home. The Clippers were a 10.5-point favorite, and they only won the game by 2. And since then, they've just been sticking around at home for multiple days, having not played since Friday. Yeah, they got Oklahoma City up next, but I kind of think they're going to be focused here, man, even though they play Oklahoma City tomorrow. Miami has still been playing well to start the season. And the Clippers coming off that close call with a bunch of rest here. I kind of like the Clippers in this one, and the money is agreeing. They're up from 7.5 to 8, 53% of tickets, 88% of the cash coming in on the Clippers. Of course, some of the reason for that is the fact that Miami did play yesterday, so the Clippers do have a pretty big rest advantage. But again, some of that's being factored into the line as well. Zach, what's up, man? 39-pound me, 38-pound me with a broken arm. I had a broken arm twice. I had one, in second grade after that big kid Carmine dropped me at recess. I snapped my left radius and ulna, and then the next year I broke my right arm getting it caught in an escalator handrail. So yeah, the tales of Toad continue. The Clippers are going to be on a back-to-back against Oklahoma City. Yeah, so if they're going to bring more focus for one of those games, you would think it would be the Oklahoma City, but maybe not, because maybe LA is looking at it like, hey, we have these 2 games here, and this game against Miami is the more winnable one, so let's focus on this one, especially after they almost lost to the Pelicans. So I could see it actually going that way too. So I don't know. We'll see, but I do lean to the Clippers in that one. I'm going to give out my NBA play, talk about Monday Night Football, and then we'll get out of here. We're going to lay the points with Denver here, man. I don't know if people saw this coming or not. I like how the spot lines up for Denver. Sometimes when you can lay points with a really good team in a spot where you think they're going to show up, it's a good thing. I know we've lost a little bit of line value here. They've moved up from 9.5 to 11.5, but all those numbers are kind of just in no man's land in the NBA, really. I know it's an extra possession or so, but still, you're not looking at that key number of 7 there. You basically just need the Nuggets to just run away with the game. 81% of the tickets, 95% of the cash coming in on the Nuggets. I actually think the Nuggets are maybe a little bit undervalued here because they're only 3-2 so far. So they don't look like they're that much better than the Kings, but they are. The Nuggets, I mean, of course, we know that they're already one of the top teams in the Western Conference, but they stacked their lineup this year too, so they're probably better this year than they were last year. They're also undefeated at home already, but I like the situation, man. And yes, the home advantage for Denver is a little bit stronger because it's in high elevation. So that always can kind of have an extra impact on road teams coming in there. Sacramento, of course, as we know, I took them on Saturday. That was my one NBA play on Saturday. They pulled off the upset of Milwaukee. And now after that, they have to go to elevation for a fourth straight road game, which is going to be their fourth game since Tuesday on the road. So a little bit of a packed schedule here. They had a day off in between the Milwaukee game and this Denver game. They had 2 days off prior to that game, but still, since Tuesday, they've only had those 3 days off. Sacramento, they're going to have to somehow maintain an effort 2 games in a row, man, to try to pull off back-to-back road upsets. I'm not sure they're going to be able to get the job done here, man. So I think that could have Sacramento getting a little bit tired by the end of this one. And I think Denver, more importantly, is going to be in a spot where they will be focused because they just lost to Portland, man, and they have not played since Friday. So Denver has a rest advantage here. Yes, they're returning home, but they only went to Portland for 1 game on Friday. So it's not like they were away from home for so long that like a bunch of stuff that they need to do at home is piled up or whatever. That loss, I think, is going to focus them. I know sometimes I say that when you lose a win streak, it hangs you over. They do have Miami up next, but I still think they're going to show up for this one, man. I think they're going to be pissed. They went into Portland as a road favorite. They lost the game to Portland. Denver actually led most of the second half. They led most of the game. They were leading almost the entire game. They had the lead deep into the second half, into the fourth quarter, and they actually led for almost the entire fourth quarter, too. They were up by 5 with less than 2 minutes to go, and they wound up somehow losing the game. They also had a very, very bad shooting performance in this game from 3, 24%, although I know Portland was bad all around shooting in the game, but still, Denver was very bad from 3, 24%, and they had a ton of turnovers, 19. So those are the things that you could definitely improve. Like the 3-point percentage was just a bit of an outlier, and the turnover scenario, I mean, you can obviously work on that and fix that shit because that's just a lot of that's mental focus, and teams at home tend to be more focused and not turn the ball over as much. So I like Denver. I like Denver in a blowout here. Denver minus 11.5. That's going to be the NBA play there. Yahoo, that makes me like it less than Yahoo has money on Denver. I don't look at Yahoo's percentages, so I don't know, but I just, from what I've seen, I don't really trust it. Gang banging to do. I don't know what that's a reference to, but the Denver returning back home, I guess. I don't know. Let me see. Who won this game between, Winthrop wound up covering still, man. They were winning earlier on. I told you I leaned to Winthrop in this game just because they were the home favorite here. They actually had dropped to a 3.5-point favorite after I think they were about a 6-point favorite overnight. So the money actually came in on Queens, and Queens took the lead later in the game, and Winthrop was still able to come back and win the game by that key 7, man, probably because of intentional fouling. That's your start to college basketball, man. Field of 68 is airing those on YouTube. By the way, Field of 68, they've started following me because I do bracketology stuff when it gets closer to March Madness, and then they unfollowed me probably because I'm way too offensive. Field of 68, come on, man, follow me back again. You like my college basketball content, right? Come on, man. But anyway, yeah, they're broadcasting these games. The ones that are listed as being on YouTube, they're on Field of 68's channel on YouTube for free. So, and some of those games are good too. Drake is going to play. You get to see them in a while. And High Point Furman this afternoon, or this evening, should be a good game as well. So check them out. Don't have any plays on these games today. The college basketball marathon where you don't know anything about these teams yet. All right. Arizona and Dallas in Monday Night Football here. Dallas is very public. I mean, they're down from a 3.5-point favorite to a 3-point favorite here. Obviously, if you like the Cardinals, you'll be able to get 3, if not 3.5 here. 81% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on the Cowboys right now. I think by the time the game kicks off, I don't think the cash percentage will actually be on the Dallas side. Dallas is going to be very public. Like, they're the Cowboys. They're decent, at least offensively this year, although their defense is horrible. Although, actually, I think the Bengals' defense is worse based on what we saw yesterday. Maybe the Cowboys only have the second worst defense in football right now. Cowboys' defense is atrocious, though, and the public likes the Cowboys, again, just because their offense is pretty good, and CeeDee Lamb is back and whatever. So, yeah, they have a good offense, but offense is not everything. Looking at the Cardinals here, we have to see who the Cardinals are even going to start at quarterback, man. I think the situation is better for the Cardinals, as I've been saying. If you watch my show on Saturday night, I mentioned that I lean to the Cardinals in this game, plus the points. I still do. The Cardinals are coming out of a bye, and they went to the bye on a 5-game loss streak, even though I know they played close against Indy and Green Bay. But still, you go into the bye losing that many games in a row, you're going to use that bye to clean things up and fix some things. So I think the bye came at a good time for Arizona to try to bust that losing momentum. So I do like Arizona, how the situation lines up in that respect. For Dallas, yes, they got blown out last week against Denver, so I don't necessarily think it's a negative spot for Dallas here, but they haven't had a bye yet. Their bye is actually coming up after this game, and they've traveled a lot. They had to travel to New York, Carolina, back home to Dallas against Washington, had the big blowout divisional win. Washington looks like they're pretty much done now as Jaden Daniels got RG3'd, man. I don't know if you saw that last night. It is very, very sad, but I pointed out how many similarities there were between Jaden Daniels and RG3. I'm like, holy shit, they're both on the same team, playing in the same stadium. Like, they're both similar styles of quarterback. They're both black guys. They both, run. They both are dual threat quarterbacks, I'm like, that means he's going to have like a horrific career-ending injury. And I think that's what happened last night. It wasn't his leg. It was his elbow was dislocated. His arm was just bent the complete wrong way, dude. I don't know if you saw that. I was wrong about that game. Seattle completely destroyed them. But, yeah, Jaden Daniels, it was his non-throwing arm, but still, I believe it was his non-throwing arm. I think it was his left, but still, and I think he's a righty. But, yeah, it is just really, really, really bad, man. So I don't know if he's coming back, but the craziest thing is it happened in the same stadium that the RG3 injury happened in. It happened on the same yard line, basically, at the 5-yard line, and it happened against the same team, Seattle. So both of those quarterbacks' injuries happened. That's so insane, dude. Like, we're living in a simulation. I think that field is cursed. I think there might be a Native American curse on Washington now because they stopped using the Redskins name and stopped using that logo. I think they're extra cursed now, even though I know the RG3 injury happened before they did that, but still. That stadium is cursed, dude. That team is cursed. They're going to move to a new stadium soon, and maybe that'll break the curse, but that's just ridiculous. Yeah, the escalator situation. That was my right arm, and that twisted it around. Yeah. My arm, the other break was way worse, where my radius and ulna both snapped when Carmine dropped me. But anyway, Dallas, back to Dallas. I was going to say Washington, there's no way they're going to get over their team total now. So if you guys played my team totals, that Washington one under is almost certainly going to be a win, under the 9.5, which looked so easy to take the over after they won 12 games yesterday. But I told you they were going to regress, that Daniels was going to have a sophomore slump because the league will have figured him out. The slump continues, and now Washington, they're not even going to make the playoffs, and I predicted that too. I said they would miss the playoffs. They're definitely missing the playoffs at this point, man. So very, very sad for them. But anyway, Dallas went to Denver last week, so they went on the road again into high elevation. They did get blown out, so you could argue that Dallas is in a bounce-back spot after that. But with all this travel, I think the rest situation does set up better for Arizona here. I'm going to lean to Arizona, plus the points still, like I already did. I won't make it a play or anything. We got to look and see what the Arizona quarterback situation is, though, because I think it's actually better if Kyler Murray is not going to play. He's listed as questionable. Let me see. Do we know if he's going to play or not? Where's the news? Cardinals are starting Brissett again, it looks like, according to this article 2 days ago. Jacoby Brissett will start on Monday night against the Cowboys. That's a good thing, in my opinion, for Arizona. He's actually been better than Kyler Murray has. Like, Brissett, he's at least a veteran, even though he's known as more of like a game manager who doesn't turn the ball over. But he's actually had a better QB rating, QBR, both of those, and because those are different things. And he's thrown for more yardage and whatever. He's just been all around better than Kyler Murray, except that he doesn't run really like Kyler Murray does. But I think he's the better quarterback out there. And if Kyler Murray was coming back, I would actually worry about the Cardinals more because he has to get back up to game speed again. The team has to get used to him being out there again. And yes, I know he adds another dimension because he runs the football, but I don't like it. I like the continuity that Jacoby Brissett is going to bring to them. And with Brissett out there, it's possible that the opposing defense still doesn't take him as seriously as they would take Kyler Murray. And that could be a bad thing. And Brissett, I mean, he's been good he was decent in the last couple of games against, who did they play? They played Indy and Green Bay. And Green Bay is actually a pretty good defense, and Brissett did well in those games. And this is a step way down for Brissett here, man. After facing Green Bay, who has one of the better defenses, now he's facing one of the worst defenses in the NFL against the Cowboys. Brissett's probably going to be able to do something against this Cowboy defense. So, yeah, again, Arizona would be the lean for me in that one. And that's going to do it, man. Let's enjoy the college basketball marathon. If you guys have any money on it, then good luck with those bets today as well. Good luck with all your bets today. I am avoiding the college basketball until things get rolling, which is what I tend to do. Plays today are the St. Louis Blues in hockey on the money line, and the Denver Nuggets minus the points. That's going to do it. Dirty Sock, thank you, sir. You had only one loss yesterday. Well, that's better than me because I lost one of the two NBA plays, and the hockey play with the way that I gave it out was a loser on the regulation bet. Could have been a push if it was a split bet. It started out like it was going to be a really big day. The first two NFL plays, and those both being money line winners, actually gave me a winning day anyway, though. Because, like I say, when you have NFL, especially NFL underdogs like that, always put a small amount of money on the money line, dude. I recommend when it's a single-digit underdog, put 10% on the money line. And when it's a bigger underdog than that, I recommend putting between 1% and 3% on the money line there. So those both hit on the money line, those first two, Carolina and the Vikings. Thanks for hanging out, guys. A great day in the NFL. It was 2-1 with two big money line underdog wins. So, yeah, and then, with my pick'em pool, I'm pretty sure I was 500, so I'm not happy about that, including the loss on Thursday night, though. I'm pretty sure I'm 500. Maybe I'm one game above 500, whatever it is. It wasn't great. It might be one game above 500 or something like that. I mean, I'm doing well overall. On ESPN's pick'em, I'm in the 99.8th percentile or whatever. It's not going to be good enough to win out of everybody that's doing it, though. But I'm going to win my group that I have on ESPN. I'm in the money in the pick 5 on Splash that I'm in as well, which you have to have your 5 best picks, which I went 3-2. But I was going to say one of the ones that I lost yesterday in my pick 5 and in my pick'ems was Houston. CJ Stroud got knocked out of that game, dude. I think he had a concussion. He just got lit up. It was a pretty violent hit. And Houston looked like they were still going to win the game. They were up 8 in the fourth quarter, I'm pretty sure. Very low-scoring game, but I think if Stroud was still in the game, they would have won that game. I'm pretty sure he got knocked out and didn't come back. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was kind of a bullshit loser on Houston because that was my favorite play that I didn't give out as a play. That was the next one, and I added it to my pick 5. And luckily, the 5th play that I added, I was choosing between a few, and I went with Pittsburgh plus the points as my 5th in the pick 5, so that gave me the 3-2. Houston should have been a winner, though. Yeah. Bullshit. Yeah. So, yeah, that should have been a winner. I was not happy about that at all. And it took a last-second field goal for Denver to get it done, too. I hated that shit. Yeah, the game went way under. Yeah, I liked the under in that game, too. Just teams that have been scoring more than they should be, basically. And those are both good defenses. All right, that's going to do it today. Learn to Tone on Twitter, Learn to Tone on Instagram. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment here. Good or bad, whatever. Maybe I'll get a little bit angry, but I appreciate it, man. I appreciate everybody showing up. The newcomers, the people who are returning, I love that. It was a winning day for me, at least yesterday. I mean, that's what you want. Just keep winning. Keep going with today. We got the 2 plays today. College basketball. We'll start giving up plays in college basketball soon. I usually start trickling them in once I see spots that I can identify. The opening day marathon is just so hard to handicap, dude. And it's just totally overwhelming. It's just so insane. So we'll hold off on it today, but enjoy the games. And yeah, give me a good review on Apple and Spotify as well. And listen over there. That helps me out as well. Covered in Uke on YouTube. This is the Uke channel. Haven't done any Uke covers since the Halloween stuff. I got to get my voice back in order. I'll keep doing more, though, obviously. I'm not going to stop. And then patreon.com/learn-to-tone. You get the Uke Spotify feed. And, yeah, you can give me some requests over there. That's going to do it. Peace for now, guys. And I'll be back tomorrow, which the Monday shows are going to start incorporating college basketball, and then I'm going to figure out what I want to do once the college basketball season gets in swing. Like I said, I'm probably going to have to do a Friday night college basketball game, college basketball streams that are going to be insane. And then college basketball also has really big slates, I think, on Tuesdays, usually either Tuesday or Wednesday. I forget which day. So we're going to have to do like night streams for those two, probably is kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know. College basketball is absolutely insane. But I tried to handicap literally all of Division I, and it didn't work out well last year, but the last few years it did. So hopefully I'm not just overloading myself and overextending myself. But that's going to do it for now. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks, and peace for now.